But yeah, I really had a lot of reasons why I decided to do this, but I'm just gonna really talk about three.
Every day, every little thing you do. It's such a gimme, gimme, gimme. Everybody back off. You know, everybody's like, you taught that from school, everywhere. Big business. You want to be successful? You want to be like Trump? Gimme, gimme, gimme. Push, 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 push. Step, step, step. Crush, crush, crush. That's how it all is. And it's like, nobody ever stopped. Just, I feel like instead of us just being like, slavery's bad, slavery's down, bad whitey, bad whitey. I mean, all right, let's stop that. And everybody's smart enough to know that, we've been slighted. And we want ours. And I don't mean by like ours, 40 acres and a mule, because we're past that. But we need help. For us to be on our own 2 feet, us meaning youth or us meaning black people, whatever you want to take it for us to be on our own 2 feet, we do need help.
So one of the reasons is because just recognizing the struggle that people of color have gone through, right? Like my ancestors have gone through, and the separation of oneself in culture, history, and value, almost code of ethics, right? For like your being, what you find valuable, your core values, your core character, really building onto that, because I feel like there's been false perceptions of what people of color character and values are, and this is more so disguised as a value and a characteristic, other than the acknowledgement that this is more so a coping mechanism. These characters and values that are attached to people of color, specifically black people or Hispanic people, that is actually more of a coping mechanism than an actual core value.
And so I just really want to give an example about what I mean by that. And right here is just a photograph of youth sagging their pants. And, that's really what I mean. Like, black culture is tied to this idea that, black men sag their pants. It's just what they do. That's black culture. But that's all a bunch of BS. Like, no one pops out the womb and is like, yeah, this is what I'm about to do. Like right after getting popped out of the womb, I'm about to sag my pants. Like, no, this is a learned behavior. This is coping mechanisms for the situations that are happening in the communities that call for this type of behavior. And this is just one example, and I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I'm just going to talk about where this really comes from. I'm not going to go into any deep parts of everything, but just gonna glide past the surface a little bit, and hopefully those that are sagging their pants and don't know the root of it, that you can learn the root of it, and to always know there's always a root to everything. Every single thing has a root. This is an article from yourblackworld.net, and it's basically talking about sagging pants and prison and how it's related. So it says, one of the theories held by those who claim sagging trousers came from prison argued that those who did so were simply sending a message to fellow inmates that they were okay with homosexual relationships. Hit that thumbs up button if you have ever heard of sagging pants starting in prisons. The same article goes on to say, according to Odyssey Online, a prisoner would claim another inmate by having him wear his pants down low for easy access and to show that the inmate belonged to him as his property, although some disagree with that theory. However, sagging trousers has way more than what you see on your TV. Sagging of trousers has a very long history that runs back to the days of slavery. During that time, there was a trend called breaking the buck. Now, I just want to really briefly touch on that because the word trend, a trend is something that is like expanding, something that, everyone's trying to do. If you don't do it, then you're not really, up here. It's something that's hot. that's the trend. You know, this is how we're doing things now in this time and age. So I feel like that's really interesting in the context of buck breaking. So we're going to get into what buck breaking is. For those of you that don't know what buck breaking is, you now can see the definition of buck breaking and what that really means pertaining to today's youth and men of color with sagging of pants. There's a root to everything. You just have to ask the question and be willing to understand and accept the answer. So that whole topic really gets me heated, and so today I'm not going to be getting into that at all, but I just want people to be aware of why it's so important to know yourself and know where you come from and know the origin of the actions that you're currently participating in. For those of you that are curious, this article is from themedium.com. I would invite you to read it in its totality, especially the words that are on the screen. And I'll just read a little bit. Buck breaking is a method that was used by slave owners to strike fear in the witnessing slaves. This same procedure is used today. And our ancestors really went through a lot for us to be here today. And I feel like this is one way that I am truly honoring my ancestors. And I feel like through educating about the Willie Lynch letter and other issues that occurred during that time, as well as how they are relevant today. So this is a perfect example of something that you have to go back into the past and reflect on the past. And that's even in this case, ancestrally, not even just with your own personal life and experience, but the experience of the people that were here before you, and whose blood is in your veins and, you know, flesh is on your flesh. And just really peeling back that core and finding out why there's a situation or why there is a behavior that is covered in this idea of a culture versus what the actual core of it is. Now, no one's saying that that's an easy process or that it's going to be smooth, but that is the walk that I know that I'm supposed to be on, and I know others are supposed to be on. And it may not be for you, and that's fine. Go ahead and click off the video, do your own thing. But for those that it does resonate with you, this makes sense, this resonates with you, that's who I'm speaking to. I'm speaking to you all. Because it's not a cupcake process, and I'll talk about that more, but I just want to touch on that a little bit and go ahead and weed out who's supposed to be here and who's not supposed to be here, and what exactly and who exactly this self-reflection series is for. All right, so let's get back to the video.
More of a coping mechanism than an actual core value, because a lot of that was taken away with our ancestors being enslaved, or taken from, you know, their designated homes, their designated place of where they felt that they were contributing to the community, how they were contributing to the community, what their roles were in the community, the rites of passage that they had to acquire and you know, go from one level to the next level of those rites of passages. And so now, you know, we don't have things like that. A lot of times we are raised by social media, and you know, we are governed by social media and news and people's opinions and all these other different things that are really distractions. And I feel like it's really unfortunate when you're just not aware, you're not conscious, you're not, you know, paying attention to what's going on. And you know, honestly, for a while, it was hard for me to go back into the conscious space work because I recognized that it started to become a mainstream topic, and there wasn't much, respect for the sacredness of what that means. To do a lot of the inner work and to heal generational traumas and to transform your life, transform the life of others just from their interactions with you, and transform your future, because you are the future and your children will be the future. And so just really being conscious of that, yes, what you do now does have an effect later. It is not always YOLO. Like, you only live once. Like, you live every single day of your life. You don't live once. You live every single day of your life, and that's at least 365 times a year. And it's a very self-sabotaging idea to, I think, subscribe to the YOLO mentality. And there's no shade to my generation for that, but just recognize what you're saying, and maybe you can see YOLO in another light, as in, like, yes, YOLO, like, I just really need to get started in my business because I only have this one life and this experience as who I am right now, because of course we recycle and become something or someone else, and so energy never dies. So just recognizing exactly what you're saying, like, your words have power, your words have value. And if you're just coming out your mouth saying any and everything because it's popular, because everyone says it and it sounds cool, you might not even recognize what you're attracting to yourself, especially depending on the manner and in what way you are meaning what you're saying. So overall, that's one of the main reasons. The second reason is what I mentioned before, which is healing generational traumas. I think through the self-reflection series, I'm looking to
provide guidance and support to those who are seeking
an understanding of who they are, where they come from, why do they do what they do, and sometimes it takes longer to find out why you do certain things or why certain things happen, but then it comes together. It always is a divine reason or purpose, even if it's shitty. And I can speak that from experience, from different situations that I've been through, and my understanding and my alignment and in my purpose of what I'm here to do in my life. And please excuse my hair, I'm not quite sure what we got going on. Maybe if I tuck these in, it'll look more even. No. Okay. So anyway, yeah, so it's a lot. I think that's another thing that's like a fad, like, oh, like, I'm healing generational traumas. Like, no, like, this is not a game. Like, healing generational traumas means recognizing your own shit that you're doing and contributing to, like, all the crap that has already happened, and how do you move forward with that. How do you just, it's so many different pieces. It's not just I'm healing generational traumas. Like, that is not fun. It is not a game. It is serious business. It is serious work. It is serious, being honest with yourself, looking yourself dead in the face and saying, that was not okay, what you just did. So you need to figure out a healthy way to handle what you got going on. But that specifically was not okay, and not listening to, the rest of the world that's saying, no, like, it's fine. Because I think that's another thing that I believe that you should always take accountability for what you do, no matter what your intention is. The intention matters, but so does, the way something is impacting the other person or how it is impacting the situation. So you can't just write off like, well, I was hoping that, I really made these muffins and I made them with eggs, even though I knew my friend doesn't eat eggs. But, at the same time, I made muffins. Like, so I still had a good intent. Yeah, that's great that you had great intentions, but whether you did or you didn't know about the eggs or you forgot, the impact is still the same. Now this person, you know, could be allergic to it, or maybe it was just their preference, and you have to be, you know, abiding by that and be respectful of that. It's not your place to tell someone what they should or shouldn't put in their body. I mean, you can advise, you can suggest, but you can't force someone to eat those muffins that you made with eggs. You can't force anyone to do anything. Like, because I made it, like, and I had good intentions. Like, no, that is not how you do it. And I think the third reason I decided to do a self-reflection series is because I genuinely just, from the conversations that I've had with people, never took a step back in their life, and they could be 30, 40 years old. I've talked to older people, and they just, you know, they never even question their own thoughts, their own ideas, their own perception on life. And for me, that's scary, because if you're not taking time to stop in the midst of a season, you know, in the midst of spring, in the midst of summer, in the midst of a blessing, you know, in the midst of a struggle, and you're not able to stop at some point and say, wow, like, there's a lot going on here, or I am so grateful for what just happened, then you're not able to reflect and see yourself for where you are, where you've come, and where you're going. And that's really important, especially in today's age where there's just so many distractions, as I said before. So many distractions between social media, between, you know, school, there's work, there's so many obligations. And the more that I'm learning too about like financial literacy, because that's another thing I'm trying to build. There's, you know, generational wealth and healing and finances and in love, and that's a deficit that has been created, I think, for our people, or people of color, in my opinion, strategically done. And so for me, I feel like this is a contribution to the universe, the world, and into, you know, my area of expertise of what I know, what it's really like to know yourself, to begin to love yourself, to really understand yourself, to accept yourself, and to heal. And it's not a light process. It's not a cute, you know, self-care, #self-care with bubbles, you know, in your bathtub, and, you know, make sure you get your nails done. Like, that's not the only part of self-care that you have to do. Self-care is also accountability. Self-care is also responsibility. Self-care is also self-discipline and self-love. You know, it's not just sprinkles and cupcakes and I'm gonna treat myself with this $500 laptop. You got to get money or something. You know, it's not just materialistic. It's not just glamorous. There are the rough times too, and, you know, I think that the world would be a way better place if we, not even just to everyone, but just to ourselves, acknowledge that there's two sides to the coin of knowing yourself, of understanding yourself, and, you know, and the realizations may not be beautiful. They may be hard to deal with. They may be hard to come to terms with, but that doesn't mean we don't have them. That doesn't mean we don't have those conversations. And I feel that same way about religion, about politics, about race, because if you don't talk about it, then you're never able to come to any type of understanding. You're never able to unlock all those answers to the questions that you've had for yourself or others have had. It starts to pile up and become this whole heap of, you know, what am I going to do with this? Or like, well, how do I handle this? Or everything just becomes overwhelming. It's layers and layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of stuff. And so the self-reflection series is here to just start peeling back that layer and recognizing that self-reflection is not just about you. Self-reflection is for you, but it's also for, you know, the next generation, the future. Because the more healing that we're able to do, the better, the more loving, the more understanding, the more forgiving, the more gracious, the more abundant the energy will be. within the next generation. And I really understand that to be true just from my own experiences. So I hope you guys check it out. I will be having this self-reflection series. I'm gonna try to have my self-reflection series about once a week, try to post a video. I'm breaking it up into 3 different components, which is know thyself, love thyself, and heal thyself. So these are the 3 different components, and I'm really looking forward to this series. And I'm really looking to have some more one-on-one interactions with you all moving forward. After I start dropping these videos down, my website will be up soon. Thank you guys so much for your support. I hope you enjoy being along this journey with me in the self-reflection and really be able to get into your own self-reflection.
Hey, thanks for watching the intro of the self-reflection series in Knowledge of Self. Stick around for the first ever episode of the self-reflection series next week. If you're looking forward to more videos like this, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and like, comment, and share the video with a friend.